What is up, everyone? I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. You know what, guys? I realized I haven't done a collab in ages. Today we got Seth on the channel. What's up, Seth? How are you doing, bro?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm doing good. It's clan versus clan day, so the tag team arena is running. The Spider 10 is running hard, so it's going to be a stressful 2 days. But it's always fun when it's personal CVC. But otherwise, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely a pleasure, guys. Make sure you head over and check out his channel. I will pin it in the comment down below. And in today's video, guys, we're going to talk about some of the most expensive pieces of gear in Raid Shadow Legends. And probably you're wondering, what do you mean? How are they so expensive? And why would you even say that? Well, the honeymoon period is over for the Ascension rerolling, right? So now we're kind of like more familiar with the Chaos Dust, the Chaos Powder, if I'm calling them right. Yeah, they are called Chaos. So this basically allow you to reroll your Ascension on the gear. Now, initially when they released these features, man, I've been pretty excited and not excited at the same time because of the RNG, and it's all about the value and preservation of your investment in the game. Like, I've been farming artifacts for 4 years, and I know people are saying, Skratch, you cannot say that your attack chest piece got ruined because you added a flat HP stat onto it. I feel like it's not necessarily the right term to use, ruined, but comparing it, for example, me and you, right? So we are about to have a fight in live arena. So you got lucky with the Ascension of your chest piece, you got 20% more attack, while I've got unlucky with my Ascension and I got flat HP on my chest piece. So which puts me at a big disadvantage. So that, in a way or another, you can say that, yeah, my piece of gear is crap compared to his piece of gear, So I feel like that was a massive issue before, but now we actually have the option to re-roll it and play around with the pieces of gear till we actually get the desired stat. But of course, it comes at a cost. So what do you think so far about it? Exactly, yeah. What do you think so far about it?
Yeah, so I think, like, from when Artifact Ascension first came out, I remember a lot of the, I wouldn't say a lot of the endgame players, people like Smiley, came out and they were pretty upset about it because they were saying what it's going to do is going to create the really good pieces that would take quite a lot of energy to acquire, right? When we talk about, like, gloves are a classic example. People really want those lethal or savage crit damage with crit rate substat gloves, right? That's the desirable, goal. And it can take you thousands of energy to even get, like, it can take you 1,000 energy just to get a crit damage glove sometimes with crit rate substat, and then to have it roll the right way. And then, of course, when you ascended it, it would be like, this is a classic example. That is like almost like is probably perfect there because you've got
flat attack on it as well, yeah.
Outside of it low rolling some substats, it's like the perfect glove. But then you roll the Ascension and it's like, great, it gave me flat attack. And the difference between 80 attack and 20% crit damage is
massive. Yeah,
it's like massive. It's huge. It's like the difference between 5-star and 6-star. So a lot of the complaints were, okay, that really cool piece that I was using everywhere. Now, even though it's still really good substats, because it didn't roll the crit damage Ascension, the average piece that I've got that only had maybe probably like one substat is now better than it. And all the gloves that I have been able to farm, which is not crazy amounts, right? You've got a lot more because you've been playing a lot more Fire Knight, and you've probably you've probably done a lot more runs than the average player. So you've got a lot more of these. But I went, I think, 7 crit damage amulets deep to try and get a crit damage roll for just one faction once, and it's ruining all the good rolls you've got. So when this Chaos Dust came out, I was like, this is exactly what we needed on day one, really. The ability to re-roll. And to some extent, the system that they've implemented, in my opinion, is very forgiving in the sense that it's not like normal reforging where it's like you have one chance to get a good item. If you don't get it, then it is what it is, and it reforges everything. Realistically, this is great because you can grind for as much as you want, and you always have an opportunity to finally get the stat you want. But it does come at a cost, like you mentioned. And my personal view is this is exactly the type of system we want, an ability where we can re-roll it with a currency that we can continuously farm. It's not an exclusive, it's not a purchasable item, it's an item we can farm, we can reforge it, and we get an opportunity to get the substat because this does allow you to get the perfect piece.
Yeah.
Where before, it was all RNG.
100%. Like how you mentioned, I have more than probably the average player, right? And even like these, I only had a small handful of them that actually roll good. 2 or 3 of them. before the rerolling, you know. So I had this one that was good from the beginning. And the good part about the Ascension, guys, because how we mentioned, we talked a bit about the negative part with the very good gear becoming like, but then you have this gear that is not necessarily the best gear. I mean, this is a perfect gauntlet, even as a rare, you know, is amazing. But then it rolled even better. So this, from a rare piece, it became 10 times better than my legendary piece, you know, just because it rolled me the right thing. So
Yeah,
it kind of like
everything in the
made
right place.
it had two extremes, you know, either amazing, either you know, it kind of like pushed it in two extremes. But now with the new things that we have in the game, it's definitely much better. Like I'm actually managed to get some of the chess pieces to change them to attack percentage. Some of the boots as well, you know, pieces
Yeah.
that were pretty bad before, and I haven't tried all of them yet. Like I have a few more like this one that I gotta try. Like this one, I'm gonna change it. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's right behind your head actually, so they couldn't see it. But it has HP, you know, so I want to
People need to
change.
realize how massive these Ascension stats are in terms of like overall picture. You might not think 80 attack here or there is much, or you might not think 20% attack is all that much. But when
I
you
mean,
have
it's
20%
is a
on top of
third of
20%,
is a third of it, you know. Yeah, and they add
it's when you
up.
add it all together. It's like, you know, a Baron, for example, when you get three forms of 80 on the top row, you get 80 from the ring, you get 120 from the amulet, you get 32% crit damage, you get another 40% attack. Like you're talking another 1000 attack
Yep,
easily. Even the top row, like a lot of people will go, the top row's not that important.
it's 240 attack,
It's a
bro.
ring. It's a ring. It's huge. So getting the right ascension stat on the right piece is basically what we now call endgame gearing, right? Before endgame gearing was like, did you get the triple roll crit damage with crit rate kind of set scenario? Now it's actually finding the ascension stats that match with your good pieces, because that is going to be the difference. You know, I've seen some absolute god tier builds from +4 dual gids, like we're talking 300 speed, 350% crit damage, because they can abuse a lot of the things like blessing stats and ascension stats. This is the end game gearing now in Raid 2024. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, the Chaos Dust was almost inevitable from when it first came out, and I know they kind of said when they first released Artifact Ascension, like, oh, we'll definitely give you the option, but with all things in Raid, 6 months is the minimum required time. And yeah, I think the actual system we got is better than I expected. I thought it would be worse. I thought we'd get like one roll maybe, and
that's it.
that was it.
I expected pretty much the exact same thing, and it is much better. So this chess piece right here, I even though it doesn't have the highest rolls, you know, I could say that it's probably one of the best attack chess pieces I have on the account in terms of
Yeah.
how it rolled. You know, triple crit rate, one crit damage. You have the speed there, but this is actually just refusing to to go to attack. I had
Nine. Oh,
nine attempts on this, and that's exactly what we're gonna discuss a bit in today's video, guys. I've seen some pieces going to 20. I've seen pieces going to almost 30 attempts. So we're gonna talk a bit about the prices. We have a bit of a spreadsheet made by a buddy of mine that actually shared it with us. So we're gonna have a quick look at that, you know, and we're gonna analyze a bit the cost of dust. And yeah, I have a few pieces that got me to 9, like Warlord's Banner that took 9, you know. But the main thing is, a lot of the times I'm seeing the comments, Skratch, how are you getting these crazy stats on your champions? Well, I'm getting these crazy stats on the champions, guys, by literally trying to get everything perfect on them. That includes Ascension, getting the blessing, getting the glyphs. So I managed to get a perfect Georgit for what I have on my account. This Georgit is not empowered. He has a 4-star blessing, right? So the room for him
massive difference.
to become more crazy is huge. You know, like, my God, getting into +4 and 6-star blessing is not nutty.
Ironically, it's the +4 that matters more than anything else.
Yeah,
It's not the 1 to 3, because the 1 to 3 is going to give you what, 30% attack. That's actually
is the speed, the
empowerment.
crit damage, and the crit rate.
It's pretty bad. It's the crit rate and crit damage more than anything else, because those are like you get 7% per roll, so you're gonna get 40%. So you divide that's what, like 5 or 6 substat rolls.
Yeah,
Bit of rough napkin math on top of my head. So that's like how we think about it. You know, to the average person watching this video, when us endgame players are building champions, we're looking at something like, okay, well, it's 40%. That's divided by 7, so that's giving us the equivalent of like 5 bonus substat rolls that we can put into attack, or we can put into speed, or we can put into more crit damage, or we can put into something else. So that's where the +4 really matters, because these 30% crit damage, 30% attack is largely nothing. It's like a couple of hundred attack.
yeah.
Blessings and empowerment will do, an Ascension will do far more than that.
Yeah, like
then
getting
obviously
a
the
6-star is crazy, you know. Even the
because so
4-star is
much.
good because of the 25% crit damage, but 6-star, getting the speed, 250 attack more on it, the speed and the
It's
extra crit damage
nuts.
is just disgusting.
It's
Yeah, so
actually probably more stat. Like the big difference is it's flat stats. So it's actually better across the board because champions with lower base stats benefit the same as champions with higher base stats.
yeah,
So actually, you tend to find that it equals out on empowerment, where you know, like so at 40%, the amount of stats you gain from a blessing is about the same as a like this type of 1600 base. But for champions with a lot lower base attack, say like a Brogni, those 6-star blessings add so much damage. It's absolutely bonkers. It's really crazy.
yeah. So I managed to literally make every single one of
It's
them perfect
perfect.
now. You know, like
Yeah,
even
attack on
these
attack.
boots had some bad rerolling. It took me 5 attempts, but I got it there. You know, and
That's
quite a
pretty
few.
good, really.
Yeah, quite a few pieces actually. I got lucky with some of them. Like I'll be very honest. Like some of these chess pieces, you know,
Oof.
2 attempts. You know, like pretty damn lucky. Even the top pieces, you know. So this is making such a big difference. Like it's just crazy. Like look at this as well. Before it had a HP on it, you know. So I just went and re-rolled it for the crit damage because I already have a quad attack on it, which is massive, you know.
Yeah,
So it's
and
kind of
that's an example of like how much energy it costs you to get something like that again. To get an amulet as good as that, because it's not even about
I only
like
have
the
one
quad roll.
for this faction.
It's
Think
not even
about it
about the
like this.
quad roll. It's attack. Attack can be anywhere from I think like 20 to 30 on a substat roll.
Yeah.
So that you've got actually a huge variance. It's like flat HP. You've actually got a massive variance between a low roll and a high roll. So you could have a quad roll HP, but actually that's only doing like what a double or a triple roll can do if it didn't high
Mm,
roll. 113 is a pretty good roll. I think it's about 28 on average off the
yeah.
top of my head. Because I have a similar amulet in my high elves, which is sitting on Eris right now, which you'd be ashamed at me for, but I have no good high elf nuka, so it's on Eris in Clan Boss. But yeah, that's the problem with the old system. It would be like you'd get that amulet, you think, great, I can add 12% more crit damage. You roll that, and it's like flat HP.
Mm.
Okay, now I've basically taken the best amulet on my account and gone, no matter how good it is, it's never going to be better than a standard one roll flat attack that had 12% crit damage. It's never going to be because 12% crit damage is just going to add more damage. And it was depressing. It was so depressing. And the amount of times I had to get a perfect one for Whisper was painful.
So this piece that we have right here on the screen, guys, it took exactly 29 rework attempts.
When?
So it's not even an amazing piece, okay? It's just double speed and it's HP to HP. It's a decent piece, okay? I would definitely probably not attempt to do so
No,
many reworks on one of these. But
that is
basically,
madness.
it is, yeah. So it's kind of like how much it costs you to get this done, basically, you know? So that's why this is the most expensive piece of gear. It does cost quite a bit, and it's not just that. It's very time consuming to farm so many dust because the drop rate is
Yeah.
pretty low at 8%, right? If I'm not mistaken. So
It's 8%. So it
yeah,
roughly works out you get one per refill on
yeah,
give or take. It's like 0.96 per refill. So I think when I worked it out, the tournament basically allowed, if you run a Sand Devil tournament, by the time you finished it on 25 in a good run, because there's not much difference between points when you run Sand Devil, because unless you're running the nuke team, you can't really run it that fast. It's around about 16 or 15 dust per tournament.
yeah.
Right. And I think most people like me would go, okay, this is a tournament on, that's my dedicated Sand Devil farm time. But yeah, it's about one per refill. So about one per 130 energy.
Yeah, that's how we have it written down here as well. So basically, we're calculating energy at some of the best value that we're getting, and that's 280 energy per dollar, you know. And yes, you are expecting approximately two dust to drop from that amount of energy, and this was done at an 18 seconds per run, you know. So with one of the best teams in the game that can farm
This is the
this.
Kraken team, right?
Yeah, this is a
the double
Kraken. I mean,
nukes.
only a Kraken would do 29 attempts on a piece. Like, let's be honest.
Yes.
I've been farming for the last few days. I've probably burned around 25k energy in the Sand Devil, you know, and I'm out of it. Like, and I've only tried a few pieces, you know, and I'm out of it.
Yeah, and that is the problem. You try a few and you just
Especially
every fail gets like, oh, do I? You
upgraded.
just watch all this diminishing go. It's like when you do a normal Sand Devil. For the average player, the experience is like you farm like a Sand Devil tournament, you come away with like 1100 or 1200 lesser, and you think, great, I got loads of resources, and then you go and ascend like 7 pieces, and you go, oh, I'm out, I'm done. So it takes me like 2 days to farm it, and about 20 minutes to lose it all.
Yeah,
it's a horrible experience.
That's the thing. I mean, I feel like if they would do it, so it's much cheaper than it is, you know, to get them, and I feel like everybody will quickly just max all their stats, and it
Oh
would be a
yeah.
massive boost for the lower accounts, if it would be much cheaper. That's why they're not doing it. So just imagine you start your account, in 2-3 months, you're going to be able to put your hands. By any chance, maybe you get lucky enough to get a Godseeker, an Area, and a Drang, and
Yeah.
you're going to farm a bit of a Fire Knight, or maybe you're a spender and you're going to purchase some regeneration gear, and you can farm stage 25. Imagine what an impact it would have on a newish account to be able to just
Yeah.
quickly get all the perfect stats on the gear. It will boost your account like crazy, So I think they're
It's got to
trying
be a
to.
chase to it, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I
You
think
know,
they're trying
it
to
has to be
keep
a
the
goal
chase
long
in.
term.
Yeah, and to
Because otherwise,
stop
like
that.
your account, for example, you would give up farming dungeons because you could get the perfect gear. You got enough there. Like you keep farming dungeons at the moment because it's like, wow, I didn't quite get everything perfect.
Yeah.
But if you can just take like 7 of your pieces and they're perfect enough, like you just end up going, I don't need dungeons anymore. Don't need gear. I've got everything perfect. So there has to be a level of impossibility to it. Otherwise, we'd just be done and bored.
Yeah.
It's whether the impossibility is too extreme and also is it available enough for most players. That's I think the question more than anything, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So let's just say you're gonna do the maximum. I mean, the maximum, a 36 amount retries. While we have maximum on the spreadsheet here, So the cost increases to 9 from the 7th attempt, So it's going to be so costly after the 7th retry, That is almost at a point where it's not worth it to retry the same piece unless it's like really godly. Like I showed you that chess piece that failed for me 9 times. I'm going to retry that because yeah, it's one of the best that I have.
Yeah.
But I would probably not constantly retry it for a piece like this, and I would settle for the second best thing on it, which will be defense percentage. I would settle for that too. And I feel like it's more likely for you to get one or the other. Probably he got like 4, 5, 6 times defense percentage on it. Who knows how many times, but he wanted the HP necessarily. And I feel like if you settle with one of those, I feel like it's pretty decent. Now, I feel like the raid thingy, whatever they're called, the double battles, they will help with the time for all of these dungeons to farm.
But it doesn't help with energy. Like that's the thing about
that's
super
the
raids.
problem.
It helps with time, but you still have to run the same energy, and like it's still going to cost you this much, but at least it won't cost you as much time. And based on last week, apparently I need to put a lot more focus on time, not energy. After the Alatrian Heroes path, apparently time is very valuable. So lesson learned there.
It is actually, yeah. So it will be pretty costly to get it. Like one retry, is going to cost you 3 dust. It's still staying the same cumulative, but then imply the number of runs required. You're going to have to do like 9 plus runs to get to the 3 dust, right? And then is the energy cost, which will be like almost 200 energy to get it for one try, and is the cost of it as well, which is almost $1 for all those tries. So adding it all up, guys, to the 36 retries, for example, it will be like $67 to $70 to try and do that. Now, this was a bit cheaper, this one that you see right here on the screen, because it was like $50 plus dollars just to get it done, okay? So you purchase mythical gear with $50, right? A full set of mythical gear. So this is definitely a pretty damn expensive piece of gear, man, and it's not even perfect, That's the crazy part of it.
Here's the thing, though. People will buy 6 artifact pieces for what, $49? Like if you think about the Kraken packs, like they'll buy something like, I don't know if there was one in the market right now, probably not.
None of them today. No. Oh wow.
None of them today. But normally it's like I don't know, 6 pieces of Defiant gear for $49.99.
Yeah.
And you'll probably like keep maybe 3 or 2 if they've rolled well, but you probably sell. So in the reality of it, if I could spend $50 and get a perfect item,
is
that a bad trade? It's an interesting debate. I mean, I would suggest, like you said, after a certain point, you kind of settle. And normally when you're building something like, for example, crit damage gloves, you could settle for more crit damage, or you could settle for crit rate and find it. It's crit
or even
attack,
right. Yeah. So it's not the best, but it's still something that, okay, I've done 15 retries. I'm done with it. I'll take crit.
It's just
rate,
done until you start like getting to a point where you have so much crit chaos dust that you have a luxury amount of it. Like maybe you just go, look, I've got a backlog of like 100 items I need to chaos dust. Like my Whisper right now, my second Whisper, she needs like 6 items chaos dusted. Like until I've got through that backlog, I should stop trying to get 1 piece perfect and just try to get 8 pieces average, right? Good enough. So you take your attack percentage, like that one there, for example, like realistically, attack is okay, but you really want attack percentage if you can. That was a bit more difficult to settle because the difference between attack and attack percentage is actually, quite a lot. Is it though, actually? I mean, well, he's got a base attack of like 1500, right? So
he's
you're
gonna get
basically
300 attack,
traded.
basically, almost 280
Yes,
attack. So you're gaining 200 attack, basically. Yeah. So
it's a lot, but it's
yeah.
not. It's not the end of the world. And like crit rate gloves, for example, if we go back to the concept of how much is it in a substat roll, well, 10% is about 1.3 substat rolls, 20% is 7, 14, 21, about 1.9 or 2.9, right?
2.9, yeah.
2.9. So it is more like, in terms of a build budget, cheaper to get the crit damage rolls. It will give you more payoff, but it's not like it's only one substat roll in the end, in the big picture, right? You basically substitute one of the crit substat rolls for one of the crit damage. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, if you've got like a HP chest, if you start hitting like 8 or 9, you kind of just go, I'll go with the defense, right? It's not the end of the world. This one, for example, here, you could settle for attack, but realistically,
you want crit damage.
The difference here is big. But the big thing about amulets is it's far more, like, it's cheaper to do accessories like an amulet than it is to do gloves, because the odds of you failing are significantly low. There's only 3 here. Yep. So you can only get 3 different opportunities. You got 1 in 3 to get what you want, 33% chance. Whereas when you look at a glove, I think there's like 8.
Yeah, so, on the gloves, there are quite a few, because you have 3 flats, you have 3 percentages, so 6. 8. Yeah, 8.
8. So basically, you're going from a 33.3% chance to a 12% chance. So the odds of failing is significantly higher. So I think there is a level of like chaos powder is less valuable than chaos dust, because you need more chaos dust. Right? We're having this debate in the hero's path where you go the left-hand side to get the chaos dust, on the right-hand side to get the chaos powder. And I was like, you probably want to go the dust, because you're going to need more of it. One, you've got double the amount of slots, because you've got 6 instead of 3. And your substat slots are going to cost you twice as much, because you've got to basically roll it probably twice as many times to get what you want, unless you get super lucky. So
I'm just looking for somebody with crit damage gloves, just to kind of like pinpointed, like on here in terms of difference. Like, it's literally an 8% difference, from the glove to the amulet, because you're getting 20% or 12%. So the difference is
more
not
the comparison between flat attack and 12% crit damage more than anything else. Because that's the 2 options really here for this. You could choose to go for more flat attack and give you 80 attack, but that 12% crit damage is quite a lot stronger on someone like Jorgid than 80 attack. 80 attack might give you an extra like 200 damage. 12% crit damage could give you another like couple of thousand. So you really want that. So I like, in that instance, it's probably better for you to spend more re-rolling. So for example, what I'm settling on is like, once you hit 9, maybe you just settle. When it comes to an amulet, maybe you don't, because you probably will find the mean average. You won't need to get to roll 9, right?
No, I think here, on the amulet is gonna be much easier, because from what I understood, you can now reroll the exact same thing again, so that really gives you a much better chance all around, So
you can go like crit damage to HP back to crit damage if you roll it twice, but you can't go crit damage to crit damage, right?
Yeah,
you can't
exactly,
get the same thing back.
Yeah.
Which that's why I said at the start of this video, it's very forgiving if you think about it, because you have
there you go.
no limits. No, there is the pack there. That's
actually $30,
It's the mythical one, I think, is 49, isn't it?
Yeah, the mythical one.
Gear. If you actually think about it, you have no limitations to the amount of times you can roll. So if you have that one godly piece, the one like quad roll, and those are the pieces that I would suggest you exceed the 9 roll. Is if it's like that amulet, where it's at, like, you're probably never going to get a better amulet than that in that faction in your entire play time. It's going to be the best. Like, so you basically keep going on that one.
I have another thing that I will definitely try to redo it. I'm not using it at the moment, most probably on any of the champions, but this is kind of like a lifetime thing, like, I don't think I'll ever get something like this again, like.
And it's not perfect because you've missed 2 speed, but
yeah, I know, but
honest,
still, like,
you're never going to get better than that, because especially accessories, because with top rows, it's like, well, I can get speed with speed, right? That's not universal. Hey, you wanted that, right? That's perfect.
Exactly. So now we just sorted, guys.
Don't rework it. Don't rework.
No, you
Not rework.
gotta go out of that and come back to it. You know, hell no, I'm
I've
not
done
gonna
that so many
rework this,
times.
man.
I was like,
But
I've accidentally click rework, and then the chat is like, "Stop! Don't!" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, fair enough. We won't do
it's
that."
just the impact that it has. Like you've seen, it had resistance. I'm not saying it was gonna be bad on a high resistance Kymar. I mean, it was gonna be bad because it's not a resistance banner, but it was usable in a way or another. But right now, it just became god tier. You know, like a piece like
It's
this.
probably the best you can ever get.
Yeah, probably I won't get a piece like this ever in my whole raid career. You know, like
If you were
I
being like very, very, very specific, you would go, "Ah, well, it'd be nice if it was mythical," but like probably never going to happen. And you would go, "Oh, maybe it would be nice if it was a HP percentage with like a defense percentage just to make him tankier," because you don't really care about attack.
yeah.
But in all sense of reality, the common average person would go, "I'm probably never going to get a fully ascended with accuracy banner with quad speed," and it's pretty high roll. Like it's 28 out of 30. Like
Yeah.
it means it rolled 2 instances of 5 and 3 instances of 6. It's as good as you probably are ever going to get. So yeah, and that's, for example, where I would go deep. I would keep re-rolling it because actually for your Kymar, that actually matters
Yeah, of course, yeah. So
in
that's
your tier,
this is
in
a piece
your area.
where you're gonna probably, if you're unlucky, end up with the 29 pieces, and you're gonna be like, shit, I gotta get this done. You know, basically, you know,
Yeah.
like
And again, it's all about combining the stats, right? 29 actually on its own doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have 29 on the chest, well, now you've got 58. And then you get 80 in the area bonuses. And then you get 80 in the Great Hall. Well, now I've got 160 plus 58. Well, I probably have enough accuracy to settle pretty much all content in the game without even getting a single substat of accuracy. And then
Yeah.
you start adding in the substat of accuracies. You get a quad roll amulet, you get a quad, and you quickly see how you can scale it. Then you glyph all these substats, and then you go into accuracy sets, and you keep scaling it up and up and up. And it's the combination of all these stats that really makes a big difference, not just the individual. Because if you look at it individually, a lot of people will go, 29 accuracy, it's not the end of the world if you don't get a chaos dust.
like
You know?
I don't have many speed boots with triple roll on accuracy, and I'm going to retry this. Still, is gonna hit what it needs to. You know, 6 retries for the moment. I want speed on it, and I'm not gonna stop till I'm getting it. You know, like it might take me months, but I will get it eventually, depending on the cost. You know,
And
like
that's the great thing about this system, actually. If you think about it, is one, if you think about it, it's giving you a reason to keep grinding, which is probably for your level of account quite difficult to find reasons to keep doing Sand Devil and reasons to keep doing different things, because this now is going to give you a currency that can provide meaningful change to your builds, which is, in my opinion, quite a good win for Plarium. Obviously, this is quite an extreme example because, you know, you're probably sitting in the echelons of the 1% of the player base who have lots and lots of gear that they need to ascend and have time to grind through Sand Devil. Most of the players may be doing masteries. Most of the players may be doing like gear grinding, trying to farm different content where you can actually dedicate a lot more of your resources. It's why I say to people, Sand Devil is an end game activity. Don't worry if you're not doing it.
Especially,
Don't
and
spend
the
your
Shogun
energy.
even more, you know, like the Shogun even more, because that should be like your last priority out of all of them. And I feel like how you said it, they just want you to keep on grinding, you know, and of course it needs to be layer upon layer that will keep you grinding. So you are in early game, mid game, you're not going to bother with this right now. This is not your priority, and it shouldn't be your priority. This is my priority because it's literally nothing else for me to grind, you know. So that's kind of like how people should see it. Once you're gonna get close to this level or to this point in the game where you're like, okay, I don't need masteries on any important champions. Yes, new fusions coming out all the time, summoning new trash champions that are guarding the vault. They could get masteries, but do they need them? Will I ever get any value out of them? No. So then you move your focus to something else, you know, and that's when these things kind of like come in play. Because I can tell you, I have hundreds of champions in my vault, okay, like that are at 60 with no masteries, and so many of them that are at level
Champion
40
training
plus.
tournaments.
Exactly. Like, look at this, you know, these champions, they will never get masteries, ever.
No.
Never.
You probably feed them into other champions at some point to make space.
Yeah, hopefully it's not going to be the case with legendaries, but there's so many of them. Like, and I know it sounds maybe like that's a whale problem.
Problems. Yeah.
It's
not Kraken problems. It's veteran problems.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I've got, I think, 240 rank 6 champions. I've got enough champions to cover pretty much every role in the game that I need outside of like the arena meta. And you start approaching champion training tournaments, and you go, all right, what am I gonna make rank 6 this time? And you just don't have an option. So you do what you've done there, which is like, well, you know, I'll just make a random rare champion, a rank 6, because I need champion training points for this fusion or this event that I'm going for because it's got a bonus reward that I really want, which might improve me for like, maybe it's got chaos test that I'm chasing as an example.
Yeah, 100%. And this is a veteran problem because I have some extra legendaries, right? Because I got fortunate enough to have them. But you might have extra rares or epics at 60, and you're in the same spot, Like, I know we discussed about this a while back. I'm not sure if you actually ever made that video that you were going to do about
it's on my list
issue.
to do.
It
Like, what do we do about champion training tournaments when you have no champions to train? It's a very interesting debate to have. It's like, well, at what point you change it up and give people who don't need to do champion training something different. But obviously, for an early game player, champion training tournaments must be
the best thing, yeah,
the best thing ever because you're getting rewards for doing what you have to do anyway. But for an end game player like us, where we're like, okay, there's new champions that always come out. Like for example, I'm about to get Mikage. Great, well I can level that up. It's already rank 6, but I can still ascend it. There's still a champion I need to build, and they'll release new like legendaries, like that Androck, for example. Great new mythical. They've also released like the Archer. Archer's an amazing new champion that everyone probably who gets it will build it almost instantly.
Yeah.
I know it's a sore subject for a lot of people, so I shouldn't have brought that name up. I apologize. But they will release every so often a very, very good champion for us veteran players where we go instant build straight away. Go in, build it. We don't look at the Blade Master. That one we just don't even like entertain how terrible the Fatalis or the terrible Blade Master that we can't wait for him to leave. But Rerol's a great example of a champion that probably a veteran player would consider investing in because of the passive. He's very, very good for Hydra. Yeah. That's probably one of the few areas that we would go, we're going to definitely we'll build this champion out. But there's very few legendaries and epics that come out where we go, most of the time when we're doing a champion fragment collection, it just sits in the vault, the fragment thing, until we need it for champion chase or CVC, right? I imagine if you did Zenogre, she's still in that vault for you.
Or you mean like here?
There
like
we go.
This one?
There you go. See, exactly. So you
like
do them because you build them up. And eventually there might be a Cintrano stage. Like, for example, Gronjar right now, very good for I think stage 21 in Cintrano's hard. So if you're going for that, you might go, okay, I'll whip it out of the vault now. But generally, as veteran players, we just do these fragment collectors and store them up in case we need them for a rainy day. But there are some champions that come out. But that one champion that you make for rank 6 is never going to satisfy the requirements of back to back to back. I mean, we've just done a heroes path, which required 8 rank 6 champions. And now we've got another champion training tournament, which we can get away with books. But then are you just, it's a Harima there if you actually wanted it. Like that's the bait here. But it's not like you can skip these because if you want to do the lunar event, you have to do these events. If you want to do the fusion,
I'm gonna start. I'm not even gonna go for the legendary book. I need it. I don't know. It's close. I might go. I might not. But it's just like, my God, seriously, I've just done one for the hero. It's just painful with the tavern. Move the small food around. Like the 1 stars, the 2 stars. It's just such a tedious thing, and especially once I've been doing this for 5 years, bro.
It gets stale.
I can close my eyes and just go and do all this work in the tavern with my eyes closed. I don't need to. I don't even need to look at it. I've done it so many times, and it's just it gets tedious and boring, So hopefully they will rework that part. Yeah. But yeah, Seth, was a pleasure to have you on the channel, guys. Let us know in the comments down below, what do you think of the gear Ascension so far, and do you think it's a good feature? You think is too expensive? You think it's taking too much time to farm the dungeon? You think the super raids will actually solve some of the issue? You think it's fair to get at 8% drop rate? You would want to see bigger drop rates and stuff like this, But make sure you guys head over and check out Seth. Seth, if you want to kind of let us know what's going up with you and the channel, what you have kind of in plan for the near future.
Yeah, so we stream pretty much Monday and Thursdays. We do loads of different things. I have got a couple of crazy clan boss teams I want to try out, and some Hydra clan boss teams. We're going to be building a monster hunter clan boss team. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, nice.
It could be disastrous. I'm about to get Mikage as well, which I'm super, super excited for. Probably looking to build some sort of finite team, testing out the Zenogre with Mikage in finite hard, which should be interesting to see if it's better than, say, the Razzlevarg teams and stuff like that. So yeah, I've got lots of I'm a bit behind you in terms of champion progression, so I got lots of champions to build. I've got lots of different things to work on, and lots of different teams to try out. And I do need to do a bit of a math experiment with Helm Smasher as well, which I'll probably talk to you about over DMs, because I think that might be interesting for you as well. So that's something I need to do.
100%, bro.
Yeah, but yeah, thanks for having me on. It's really interesting to see people's feedback on the chaos dust, and also the different like impressions people get with the player dust, and how, you know, the player progression and how they feel about the dust in terms of where they are in the player progression. I think just ending this, I would absolutely say to people, like, don't freak out if you can't do it. Like, I see so many people get so stressed that they can't do stage 25. If you can't do stage 25, the thing's probably not for you anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like,
Just
wait, you'll
for
get
it.
there.
Yeah, you'll get there. That's the thing. Like they shouldn't rush to it. Like that's the most endgame thing. It should be like the last. It should
pinnacle.
be the cherry. Yeah, it should be the cherry on top of the cake. You know, so till you get to the cherry, you gotta smash a bit of that cake. You know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But
you
yes,
will get there eventually. Yeah.
I think that's what I would like. That's why I would leave it on. Is like for all the people, you know, watching and think, oh, would it be nice? This is a great conversation, but I can't get to stage 25 and it's pointless. If you can't, like, focus your time and energy on things that you enjoy in the game and have fun with, building champions, building new teams, you'll realize that quickly you'll just get to the point where you can just do it. There's plenty of good teams out there, and I think credit to a lot of people who've built like free-to-play 25 teams and various different things. There's lots of accessible teams eventually, but if you're not there yet, don't worry about it. You'll get there. This is designed to help you as you'll be playing the game now for 2 years, like, or 3 years if you're still playing the game like us, and you'll get to the same point we get to, and you'll have the gear there that you will want to then ascend. So it's not like you're not working towards the same goal that we've been talking about here today. You'll get there eventually. But just focus on what you actually care about your progression, building more champions, building more teams, and climbing those, doing your missions, getting romantic, those sorts of things.
100%.
But yeah, thanks for having me on. It's really good. It's really interesting to see the financial breakdown and the realities. Don't do what that guy did, and don't go for 29 reforges. That's painful.
It is painful. Yeah, it must be some godly piece, guys. Like, please do it for something that's wow. You know, like if you are doing it, and that's going to take time. It's going to take me time to do something like that because it's so costly. You know, probably months, how I mentioned. But appreciate every single one. Yeah, appreciate every. Huh? Longer, you
if
think?
Not longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like probably like a year. Well, you might even be like, I don't know, retired by the point you some of these pieces.
I'll be all with grey beard, you know, and I will with a stick running around.
Yeah.
People calling me grandpa. But yeah, guys, appreciate all of you watching, and let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and we'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.